Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Real tragic situation in Tennessee. At this point, 19 people are missing in regards to this blast that occurred at 7:45 a.m. this morning. Uh, Everyone's being very careful in regards to reporting how many people died, as no one really knows at this point. However, it's been reported that at least 19 people are missing. This company, um, Accurate Energetic Systems, which is a munitions company, has 80 employees. And it's very difficult for them to know at this point how many people were actually working at the time of this blast. The blast completely leveled the building. At least 19 people remained missing after a powerful explosion ripped through a central Tennessee ammunition plant early Friday, rattling residents for miles and leaving a half square mile of fiery, smoking debris that could trigger more explosions. This is according to the New York Times. Officials said it wasn't yet clear what had caused the blast, which destroyed an entire building at the facility. It's gone, Sheriff Chris Davis of Humphreys County, Tennessee, said at a news conference, adding that the extent of the death toll remains unclear at this time. According to the sheriff, he can tell you that there are 19 people missing. He said earlier Friday, a number that remained unchanged as of 5 p.m. Central Time. This is a small little community, so obviously the sheriff and the people responding to this location may have many friends and potentially even relatives that work for this company. The chaotic and volatile situation was unleashed by an explosion on the early shift, followed by a series of smaller blasts that might have been munitions. Families of missing employees gathered at one gate of the plant, waiting for hours to hear if their loved ones had survived. The 1,300-acre campus is roughly 60 miles west of Nashville, near the border of Hickman and Humphreys counties, in a rural wooded area just off Interstate 40. The explosion was strong enough to rattle homes at least a dozen miles away and generate a plume of smoke that showed up on the weather radar of a Nashville television station. Of course, there's an agonizing wait by the families and the loved ones of the people that are now missing. They don't know at this point. Obviously, it seems as if it is an accident. There's been no indication that there's been any foul play, but it's much too early to determine cause of this blast. The ATF is on the scene. The FBI is on the scene. Of course, local law enforcement is also on the scene. But you just can see the complete devastation. The plant, the facility in Bucksnort, Tennessee, is operated by Accurate Energetic Systems, a company that produces TNT and several other explosives used by the military and mining companies. The plant employs around 75 people spread across 5 production facilities and a lab who load, assemble, and pack explosive charges and munitions. Aerial videos of the site show numerous small fires burning amid rubble, along with what appear to be dozens of small neon green canisters on the ground. So, of course, this is a preliminary investigation of all of the devastation at this scene. Law enforcement, FBI, ATF, I'm sure Tennessee State Bureau of Investigation, they will all be on this scene for days, weeks, perhaps months to determine what actually caused this blast. And right now, of course, it's a human tragedy that we will be covering. So, folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your loved ones, hold on to your cup of coffee. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone. the police off the cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
The company in question here that has 80 employees, they're known as Accurate Energetic Systems, and they are a munitions company. If you go on their website, you will see that they manufacture and process bulk explosives. They specialize in the creation of high-grade explosives for demolition, ensuring rigorous quality and safety standards, fabrication of energetic devices, and demolition explosives. Load, assemble, pack operations are casting of specialty melt pour explosive devices, pressing of explosive munitions pellets, explosive testing, and characterization. So they also say on their website, our commitment to excellence is underscored by our ISO 9001:2015 certification certified, which covers all aspects of contracting, engineering, production, environmental, health and safety, quality and security activities. So they are sort of talking about their safety record, that they are a company that deals in this. This is their profession. They have been able to do this safely for many, many years. But today, no doubt, this appears to be a huge, huge accident. At this point, we know that there are at least 19 people missing, undetermined if that number will go up at some point. This was reported by CNN earlier in the day. I'm going to play a little bit of this.
Responding to a powerful blast at a military explosives facility in the town of McEwen. Officials say that a number of people were killed in this, that others are missing. It's an explosion that shook homes miles away in the small rural community west of Nashville. Video from a man's doorbell camera captured the moment that it happened. Officials are set to give an update on the situation here shortly, but in the meantime, let's bring in CNN's Ryan Young. Ryan, what do we know?
Yeah, you know, this is about an hour outside of Nashville. This happened around 7:48, as you saw on that camera that we just saw from the Ring doorbell. But this blast was immense. When you look at the video from above, you can see just barely anything left. When I called the EMS to talk to them about this, they were telling us that crews initially couldn't even had to stand back to respond because there were secondary explosions. You just look at the rubble there, the cars that have been twisted and pretty much blown apart, some still on fire. This explosion rocked the area. Just hearing from people saying they felt the blast from more than a couple miles away, you understand just the ferocity of this explosion. But when you look at it, you just see how devastating it is. We have confirmed from the sheriff that there are multiple fatalities. No count given just yet, as they're trying to make sure not only is everyone accounted for, but they have to make those painful phone calls to family members who obviously know that their loved ones went to work today and then had this explosion happen. Both Hickman and Humphreys counties are working on this. We know the ATF and bomb arson units from the TBI are there as well. This explosion happening just around 7:48, but listen to what the sheriff said just about 20 minutes ago about this blast and where they are right now.
I don't want to put that kind of information out there right now because we are vetting that. We've had such a massive response that now we're trying to slow down, identify things. And for those of you that was around me during the flood, we had some mistakes during the flood of some things that was put out there as names of numbers and that kind of thing. And I don't want that today. We're trying to be very methodical in what we're doing and making sure that we take the time to recognize and find out each and every one of these individuals and their family.
Brianna, you understand this is going to be a complex investigation with such a large scene like this, but you also want to get it right when you have people's families involved, so you understand the sheriff taking a beat. We do know there should be a news conference within the next half hour or so. So we hope to bring parts of that to you live as we learn more information. But once again, first responders had to stand back for a little while as these secondary explosions happened. The best vantage point so far has been from above, where you see these scenes that we're looking at right now, just horrific as this community.
Some of the things that we also, you have to take into consideration, and you heard the reporter just say that first responders had to be very aware that there were secondary explosives on the scene. So they couldn't just jump onto the scene. In addition, um, just the conditions created by the blast, the ground around it, all of that potentially being exposed to chemicals that at first, if you're not experienced in munitions, explosives, uh, it could be damaging to people responding. So they can't just run in there. The other thing, of course, people that live in this area whose loved ones work for this company, the company, of course, I said earlier on, Accurate Energetic Systems, a munitions company that makes explosives for the military as well as for private people that deal in, taking down buildings using explosives, avalanches, that type of things. So this company has 80 employees. However, they have said right now they don't know how many people, in fact, were working uh, at the time of the blast, and the company has about 80 employees. So the investigation uh, by the local police, the FBI, the ATF, uh, and of course probably Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, it has to be very methodical. Now, how do you go about? How do explosive experts determine the how? How did this happen? If in fact it is an accident, where did it derive from? Where did the explosion first occur? And there's bomb squad experts on the scene, but again, secondary explosives, they have to be very cognizant of that because you don't want anyone else, first responders, losing their lives to this crime scene.
A small community deals with this blast that apparently took the lives of several of the workers. We'll have more for you soon, Brianna.
All right, we'll be looking for that. Ryan, thank you for the latest. Let's bring in the mayor of Hickman County, Tennessee, Jim Bates. That is one of the counties where this site is sitting on. He's with us by phone. Mayor, thanks for being with us here. I know they're trying to work out the numbers of this. Can you give us a sense of just how many people were working in this facility in what is really quite a small town?
Thank you for having me on. As far as the amount of employees there, I know the entire facility has approximately 80 employees. However, we do not at this time know how many were maybe involved in this blast. It's a big facility. It's confirmed that there is one building that was completely devastated. But at this time, I am unknown and unaware of how many were in that building.
Mayor, can you give us a sense of how connected this facility is to that community? How many people in that community are employed here? And how much this is touching people in that community? I'm assuming everyone knows someone who's being affected here.
Yes, ma'am. This facility actually straddles two different counties. It's on the county line between my county, Hickman County, and Humphreys County. And as you saw earlier, the Humphreys County Sheriff was there giving a interview. There is a lot of the employees that do work there are from these two counties. They do a lot in our community as far as helping others. So yeah, it's just it's pretty devastating to see this.
What are you hearing from families where you are?
Well, I have not had much contact with the families. As a matter of fact, I am about to drive out to the scene because I had to mandate my office this morning. So, and field any calls that were coming in. We've had some families call us. We've gave them instructions as to what to do and where to go. and that's the way we're trying to handle this.
Do they have a place where they're going to get information? How are they being treated and communicated with at this point?
Well, like I say, I'm not at the scene. Sheriff Davis from Humphreys County, when he gave his interview, there is a place at the scene, not right there where the explosion took place, but right there on the facility grounds, where the families can go and be able to have someone talk to them. Yes.
Can you talk to us about the questions that are being asked, even if they're not being answered at this point in time? This is obviously a military explosives company. I think it seems pretty evident that something exploded that was not supposed to. Is there any indication of what may have caused that? And tell us just about the questions being raised about that.
Well, there's a lot of questions about that. It is unknown at this time what caused this blast. It's going to be an investigation that's probably going to go on for days. This facility, they do manufacture not only military but demolition explosives, for road work and things like that as well. They're not just strictly military. But I will say this: this investigation is going to go on for some time, I'm sure.
Okay, that certainly makes sense that is going to take some time. Have there been any issues with safety in the past?
No, ma'am. I know back in 2014 there was a small ammunition explosion there, but that was in 2014. It was handled real well. It was just I don't even remember what caused that.
Yeah, and any concern about secondary explosions? Obviously, as officials there are trying to get a handle on just the scope of this, is there anything preventing them from doing that when it comes to concerns about other dangers?
Well, they're working with the best possible folks that they can work with that know everything there is to know about explosives. They're all out there at the scene right now. I keep getting updates a little bit here and there. Like I said, we're going to now a regular hourly, I believe is what they told me, updates, so that we can keep people informed as to what's going on. As far
You can just imagine, we have the devastation here, but the families that know that their loved ones work at this company. I'm a 9/11 first responder, and I look at these pictures of the devastation, and it reminds me a little bit of 9/11. We went onto the pile, and they called it Ground Zero, of course, and we sifted through the debris. We recovered our brother officers, FDNY civilians, the bodies of them, and it was really taxing and horrific. But and just this is exacerbated by the fact that there could be secondary explosives at this scene that make it that much more dangerous. And you also saw earlier on, of course, it was on fire. And for 9/11, the buildings, they stayed on fire for quite a long time. And that also exacerbated the recovery, but that the fire burnt for weeks afterwards. I'm talking about the World Trade Center. But this situation, they have to be extremely concerned again. Secondary explosive, other explosives that were on the scene that were not detonated. So first responders are risking their lives just going on to the site to hopefully recover some of the bodies of the 19 missing people. The early morning explosion at Accurate Energetic Systems, which manufactures military and demolitions explosives, left charred debris and mangled vehicles across a vast area. The sheriff said there are fatalities, but did not want to declare a death toll yet. You got to be very careful in announcing a death toll, for the fact that the loved ones of these people that were working at this location, they want to be told face to face when in fact their loved one has been recovered and identified. not to be macabre, but we want to know, we don't know the conditions of the bodies. Many of them can be blown to bits. This was, of course, a munitions factory, right? Uh, so that is part of this investigation. And when the mayor said that this will take several days, several weeks, this investigation is going to take months, not days and weeks, months. This is a very complicated investigation. And when you see the sheriff from this local area, I believe his name is Davis, um, he's quite upset. So I would imagine that many of the people at this scene, at this location, are friends, and perhaps he could even have family members that that worked at this location. So it's very personal, of course, to the people from this community. I'm going to play the interview of the sheriff, and you can see he gets very upset at one point during this press conference.
Able to confirm that we do have 19 souls. Uh, that we're looking for. So, excuse me, I ask you to keep in mind those families. Uh, this is probably one of the most devastating sites. I think Sheriff Kraft and I was talking about. It's probably been one of the most devastating situations that I've been on in my career. As far as the scene goes, we do feel that the scene is secure. We have ATF, FBI that are handling the scene as far as the investigative part, trying to figure out and recreate or figure out what actually happened to cause this. Do I see a short-term explanation? No. Do I see us being here for many days? Yes, I do see that. We've got also we've got the bomb squad from Metro Bomb Squad here. I don't really want to get in to start naming all the agencies. I'm scared I'll miss somebody. We've got TBI, Bomb and Arson here. They're all working together. It's one of the things that I'm very happy to see is all of these agencies. It's not just one, but we've come together and we're making the very best team effort that we can to move forward. Please keep in mind that these families, and I've said it up front, I said it to start with, that's where our thoughts and prayers need to go right now. And we've just got to take one day at a time or 1 hour at a time. We're processing things. We're finding out more information. We're trying to figure out, maybe the cause of this. There's not going to be a short explanation for that. I know I may have repeated myself there a little bit, and forgive me, but we're all tired and trying to put together the best effort we can and remember the families and who we're working for. I do want to touch on Accurate Energetic. They are here with us. The facility's here with us. They have discontinued operations. They're focusing on their families, their employees. They're focusing on the next things that they need to do to try to make everything best for their people.
So, as you could see, the sheriff very upset. I would imagine that he probably knows quite a few of the people here. It's a small community. It's in the area of Hickman and Humphreys counties. And to reiterate, the company Accurate Energetic Systems is a munitions company, makes military grade explosives, also explosives for demolition companies. So this is their business. So they have apparently 80 employees, of which at this point, it hasn't been updated or upgraded. At this point, 19 of them are missing and potentially feared feared dead. But there, at this point, 19 people are missing. And for the community, devastating, absolutely devastating. A small town community. This company, I'm sure, was part of this community for many, many years. And this case will be investigated mostly by the feds, the FBI, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, um, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the local bomb squads, and to determine how this happened. How did this accident occur? And that could take days, weeks, perhaps even months to determine the cause. But in the meantime, the most important thing is the recovery of the remains of the dead and the notifications to the families. So if they can't determine uh, through the recovery of the remains at this point, of course, there are other ways to determine who is missing at this point. And that is, you can imagine the families going to the location and somewhat trying to, demand notification, verification that their loved one is in fact missing and dead. This is from Fox News.
Devastating scene, meanwhile, in Tennessee. Several people dead and even more missing from an explosion at an explosives plant. This is about 60 miles from Nashville. Madison Scarpino is following this for us and joins us with an update now. Hi, Madison.
This explosion from miles away. Now, officials on the ground say they're still notifying the families of the people involved in this explosion. But again, we know multiple people are dead and several more still missing. Take a look at what investigators are dealing with right now. This is what is left of the explosives manufacturing building, now totally destroyed. Everything is burned to the ground, flames, smoke, debris everywhere. The building and whatever was inside is now rubble. Now, local officials say this all happened around 7:45 this morning at Accurate Energetic Systems in McEwen, Tennessee. According to the company's website, it develops, manufactures, and stores high-quality energetics and explosives, and their products are used for military purposes, but also things like demolitions, avalanche control, and aerospace. So the destroyed building was likely filled with explosives. The ATF, TBI, Homeland Security, and several other agencies are currently on the scene trying to figure out how and why this happened. Local officials say it will be a complicated, methodical investigation.
This is not going to be something that we're going to be like a car wreck or something like that we're just going to clean up the debris and leave. We're going to probably be here for a few days.
And this is not the first explosion for the company. Back in 2014, another explosion on site left one person dead and 3 others injured. But Sandra, we are expecting another update from officials anytime now. So hopefully some more information for our viewers very soon.
Yeah, it seems like right now they're still in the gathering phase of the information. We'll be looking for any sort of press conference to be happening to get a further update on the situation. But Madison, you look at what this happened this morning, beginning of a Friday morning, taking so many people by surprise. But yes, we do hope to get more information soon. A final thought from you, Madison, as we do await more updates.
Yeah, I mean, this is in a very rural part of Tennessee, obviously very separated from, where some shops, some restaurants might be. But again, we are seeing reports that people up to a dozen miles away or more felt this explosion. So that just goes to show how strong and powerful this was. And you guys saw the scene from that video. It's pretty devastating. And the fact that we know that several are missing, investigators, I'm sure, are very busy right now just gathering all the information they can as they try and find those remaining people.
Just devastating video and pictures coming in. Our thoughts with all those affected and those still missing as we await more updates. Madison, thank you.
Click.
So, you can just imagine again, going back to the human element of this is families going to the scene and knowing that their loved ones, they're not answering their cell phone. Their loved one's truck or car is at the scene, but they can't contact them. So just imagine from a human perspective how horrific that is. Folks, it's Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share, make comments. That helps our algorithm and it helps our channel grow. Also, if you want to contribute financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels, and we have a YouTube channel membership with 5 different levels, and you can contribute to the Police Off the Cuff family. Here's a quick word from our sponsor. And now a word from our sponsor. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? You must be 21 years or older and present in select states for Kansas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbookfanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York. So, folks, just to recap, at 07:45 this morning, an explosion occurred at this munitions factory called Accurate Energetic Systems, a company that makes military-grade explosives as well as demolition explosives for companies that use TNT and stuff to demolish buildings and that type of things, roads, that type of thing. So there was apparently an accident that occurred at 07:45 this morning. And at this point, 19 people, 19 employees of Accurate Energetic Systems are missing at this point. There hasn't been an update to verify how many they could say have lost their lives in regards to this explosion. You could see this on the screen, the devastation. Just the building's gone. The building is absolutely gone. Vehicles are on the scene burning. Just absolutely horrific scene. The ATF, the FBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation are on the scene. As we said earlier, this is not going to be a 1 day or 2 day investigation. They'll be on this scene for days, perhaps weeks, and maybe not come to the conclusion or have a determination as to what caused this explosion for several weeks, perhaps several months. But of course, everyone wants answers immediately. But I don't believe that that anyone's going to have answers immediately. I remember also in responding to 9/11, which I told everyone I was a 9/11 first responder. They actually had a center called the Bereavement Center, and people would come to this center, and it was on Lexington Avenue at this National Guard facility, and people would come in there and report family members missing that they believed were in the World Trade Center at the time. And it was just so sad to see, to interview these people that really knew nothing, And I compared that, even though that was much more devastating in regards to the amount of people that lost their lives, and that this is very similar to that, because loved ones, when someone goes to work, a loved one, a family member, you expect them to come home in the same condition they left. So when something like this happens, it's inexplainable. It's not explainable. The Sheriff Davis, said that there are fatalities, but did not want to declare a death toll yet. Just that there were 19 souls missing, as he described it. The Sheriff Davis said, "I always wish for the best. Is there a possibility that somebody might be injured somewhere or somebody that we don't know about?" Yes. Davis described the aftermath of the explosion as the most devastating scene that he's ever seen in his police career. And he reported again that multiple agencies have been assisting with the response, but have not yet determined what caused the explosion. The blast shook nearby homes and set off smaller explosions. The explosion happened around 7:45 a.m. local time. Was a devastating blast, but responders were able to secure the scene by late morning. 3 people with minor injuries from the explosion were treated at TriStar Medical Facility in Dixon. Casey Strapp, the spokesperson for TriStar Health, said. Staff said that 2 people were released and 1 person is still receiving treatment at an emergency room. Numerous law enforcement resources from across the state of Tennessee have been dispatched to assist in the investigation. A source familiar with the investigation told CNN. Those personnel include federal agents and the Tennessee Highway Patrol Special Operations Unit, among other agencies. The relatively remote area is typically patrolled by smaller law enforcement departments, which has prompted other agencies to volunteer resources for support. It's going to be an investigation. They say it will go on for days. I would say weeks and perhaps months. And to find out, it takes a great deal of expertise in munitions, in bomb squad work, to actually find the derivation of this blast. What went wrong? What caused this accident? I certainly don't have the expertise in bomb making or bomb squad investigation to predict what caused this accident. Just that there's someone in the chat. Hard times #1. In the mid-70s, I worked for Marbell on a Dolomite crew. It's dangerous. Working with explosives, period, is dangerous. Extremely, extremely dangerous. Hard times #1. Thank you for your comments. Trey, this is a compound with several buildings, and one of the buildings is serving as a hub for the families of the missing and sadly those that perished. Trey, thank you for volunteering that. It's important to humanely deal with the families as they are in crisis, as they have loved ones missing and perhaps dead in this horrific explosion. Yes, it's going to take days, weeks. Perhaps the recovery could take more days and weeks, and putting together this scene. And, I incorrectly referred to it before as a crime scene. It's certainly, perhaps the more accurate term would be accident scene, but it's yet to be determined, of course, the cause. What created this devastating explosion? It's, these companies usually have pretty good safety records, but anything. Years ago on Long Island, there's a family called the Grucci's that make fireworks. They're the most famous fireworks production company in the world. And years ago, out on Long Island, where their factory was, they had an accident. And I don't want to quote exactly, but numerous people were killed in the explosions at their accident. And you got to realize these are highly trained people. Anyone that works with explosives has to be highly trained. And in addition, there has to be government safeguards and government inspections to make sure that they're doing things correctly so that accidents like this don't occur. And we can't say, again, what caused this accident right now. Way too premature. We can just see the devastation caused by this accident. Just absolutely horrific. Sheriff Chris Davis of Humphreys County said that authorities were reaching out to families. This was 9 hours after the explosion. Difficult sometimes to make these notifications. Not sometimes, all the time. Very difficult to tell someone that their family member is deceased or missing. So, I don't want to make light of this. I don't think I am making light of it, but it's just to imagine what happened here and the fact that there are 19 people missing from this small community for this company, Accurate Energetic Systems, a munitions company. So, folks, when I heard about this, I didn't get on it right away. I wasn't around, but I think this is a very important story. And we'll give an update on it perhaps tomorrow as more facts, more information comes out. Perhaps from Sheriff Davis, perhaps from the ATF, the FBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. But right now, all of this is quite preliminary. God bless us, everyone from the chat. I recall a few decades ago, a fireworks factory blew up about 50 miles from where I was working in a high-rise off on the 6th floor. We all felt it, heard it. Yeah, I mean, apparently people 20 miles away felt this explosion that occurred at 07:45 this morning, local time. And I'm sure the community is devastated by this. Nina Chandra from the chat, thank you for the information on this terrible news. Prayers go out to all who were and are affected by this. Nina, thank you for your comments. Absolutely. Kim Alliston, prayers for everyone affected. Absolutely, Kim. I want to thank Carol Grayston. She always does a great job as our monitor in chief there. Mod in chief, I guess you could say. But thank you for everything you do for this channel. Well, folks, as I said, I will get back to this case tomorrow as we get more information. Hard Times #1 says, I heard all the way up to Kentucky people felt it. Yeah, Hard Times, thank you for your comments. Well, folks, that's our report for this evening. I want to thank everyone that came by to listen. We'll pray for the families, and I will get you more information as it comes in and report back to you. In the meantime, I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. Have a great night, everyone, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.